Hello everyone, I'm Doris from Susan's family. Today, I'll teach you how to make the Little Prince doll. This doll consists of the main part and accessories. Let's start with the main part first. After that, we'll work on the accessories. Now, let's learn how to make the main body. Please watch my demonstration. The main body includes arms, legs, body and head. First, let's learn the crochet method for the arms. Let's familiarize with the chart. RND or row plus number indicates how many round or row we are working at. The column for stitch instructions, which indicates the stitches used in the current round or row including any increase or decrease. And the total stitches column shows the total number of stitches after completing this round. The main body of this doll will use X stitch single crochet. From now on, we'll refer to them as single crochets. The stitches used include X for single crochet, V for SC2 in 1, A for SC2 tog. Now let's look at my demonstration of the specific crocheting method. I will use a thick cotton yarn so that you can see the stitches clearly, using random colors. For the specific yarn, the color scheme and hook size, please refer to the website details page and paper instruction of our corresponding product. Let's start by casting on. The term Mr. means you'll be using a magic ring to start. Pick up the yarn with your right hand. Wrap the yarn around your left index finger twice. Now, there are 3 strands on your index finger. Use your right thumb and index finger. Pinch where the loops overlap. Slide them off. Then, wrap the yarn around your left pinky. Pass it through between your middle finger and index finger. Shift the loop between your left middle finger and thumb. Pick up your hook with your right hand. Move the hook between these 2 points. Insert the hook into the loop. Place the hook on the left side of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Pull the yarn through. There's 1 loop on your hook. Continue by crocheting a chain to secure. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. 1 chain stitch is completed. Pull tight. The magic ring is finished. Now let's work on the first round. R1 is 8x. The number before X indicates how many single crochets you'll make. In this case means you will work 8 single crochets in the magic ring. Start with a chain as the beginning chain for the single crochet. Remember, the beginning chain doesn't count as a stitch. Then move on to the first stitch. Insert your hook into the magic ring. Place your hook above the yarn. Draw the yarn through. Now there are 2 loops on the hook. Position your hook in front of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. And you've completed a single crochet. You'll see the stitch with a braid-like texture on the right side. That's a V shape by 2 strands. Continue with the second stitch. Insert into the magic ring. Place your hook above the yarn. Draw the yarn through. Place your hook in front of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Draw through the 2 loops on the hook. And there, your second single crochet is done. You'll need to work 8 single crochets in this round. Follow this same process. Keep going, working each stitch. Before drawing the yarn through, always place the hook above the yarn. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. After completing all stitches, close the magic ring. There are 2 loops in total. Gently pull the yarn tail first. One loop is slightly moving. Tighten that loop. One loop remains. Now, simply pull this yarn tail tight. The loop is closed like this. Finish by making a slip stitch into the first single crochet of this round. Locate the first stitch. Count from the stitch to the right of the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This V-shaped loop is the first stitch. That's the stitch we're looking for. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Pass through all loops on the hook. Slip stitch complete. This is the chain formed by the slip stitch. A slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch. Tighten it up to avoid making extra stitches later. The slip stitch isn't indicated in the chart. When we are working in joined round method, we always finish by joining with a slip stitch, and remember to pull it tight. In this way, you've completed the first round. Now, move on to round 2. In the chart, R2, R4, R, even 8x. This indicates from round 2 onwards to work 1 single crochet in each stitch. So, 1 stitch corresponds to 1 single crochet. Each round consists of 8 stitches. Keep going until you finish the 4th round. For similar formats later, the meaning will be the same. Let's start crocheting. First, make 1 beginning chain. When you work in joined round method, always begin with a chain stitch. I won't repeat this later. Work 1 single crochet in the first stitch of the previous round. That's where the slip stitch came out. Work 1 single crochet right there. While crocheting, keep the starting tail above the hook. Hide it as you go. Let's continue with the stitches from the previous round. Work 1 single crochet into each stitch. Complete this round. After finishing the last stitch, join in the first stitch with a slip stitch. Remember, when doing joined round method, we always join in the first stitch with a slip stitch at the end. I won't repeat this later. Insert your hook into the first single crochet, yarn over, draw the yarn through, and pull through all loops on the hook. Slip stitch complete. Tighten. The starting tail has been hidden for a round. Now cut the yarn. So like this, you've completed round 2. For rounds 3 and 4, use the same method as in round 2. Just refer to the previous demonstration to work these 2 rounds. Look here. This is what it should look like after the first 4 rounds. Since we're changing colors for round 5, it's time to fasten off. Crochet a chain stitch to secure. Leave a tail about 5 centimeters. Cut the yarn. And tighten. Take a look. The texture is clear on the right side, while the backside texture appears blurry. There are no increases here. The fabric tends to curl up. Turn it over. During your crochet, make sure the right side faces you always. Now, let me show you how to count rounds. On the right side, you'll see elevated ridges. Starting from the foundation chain, count how many of these ridges there are. That's how many rounds you've completed. You can see there are currently 4 ridges, indicating 4 rounds. That means you've crocheted 4 rounds. Now, move on to round 5. In the chart, our 5 is work in back loops only, even 8x. So, work into the back loops of the previous round, crocheting 8 single crochets evenly. Let's start crocheting. Get the right yarn. In my case, it's a random color. Wrap the yarn on your left hand. Leave about 5 centimeters of yarn tail. Put the yarn tail inside the fabric. Pinch them together. Let's get familiar with the stitches. A stitch consists of these 2 strands. The one closer to you is the front loop. Likewise, the back loop is the one that is further away from you. Work into the first stitch by picking up the strand is further away from you. Draw the yarn through. Then, chain 1 as the beginning chain. Then work a single crochet in the same spot. While crocheting, place both the cut yarn tail and the new yarn tail above the hook. Hide them within the stitches as you go. Give a gentle tug on the color-changing yarn tail. Continue picking up the back loops of the remaining stitches. Work a single crochet into each. Crochet all the way around the round. After completing the last stitch, join into the first stitch with a slip stitch. Pull tight. Trim excess tail. Now, look at this. This is what it looks like after completing round 5. For rounds 6 to 12, you'll work single crochets evenly. Just work 1 single crochet into each stitch, all the way around. Check your round numbers as you go. Take a look now. This is how it should look like after the first 12 rounds. Move on to round 13. In the chart, our 1-3 is front loop, x, v, times 4. The parentheses indicate a group here. The parentheses indicate a group of stitches. Multiplication a number means repeat that number of times. Start by working a single crochet into the front loop of the first stitch from the previous round. Which is the loop closer to you? Insert your hook into that loop, then crochet. Make a single crochet. After that, work a SC2 in 1 into the front loop of the next stitch. That means you make 2 single crochets into the same stitch. 1, 2. So like this, you've completed a SC2 in 1. You've worked the X, V. Let me demonstrate again. First, work a single crochet. Then, do a SC2 in 1. That's the second time. In this round, repeat the X, V 4 times. You have 2 more to go. Finish them by yourself. Once done, join with a slip stitch. Like so, round 13 is complete. Now move on to round 14. Start by working 2 single crochets evenly. Then, make a SC2 and 1 in the next stitch. That completes a group. Finish the remaining 3 groups. Join with a slip stitch when you're done. Just like that, round 14 is finished. For rounds 15 and 16, both work single crochets evenly. Complete them. Look, this is what the first 16 rounds look like. Now, let's work round 17. Repeat what's in the parentheses 4 times. Start with 2 single crochets worked evenly. Then, do a SC2 tog. Insert the hook into the front loop of the next stitch. Then, insert it into the front loop of the stitch on the left. You'll have 3 loops on your hook now. Place the hook above the yarn. Draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. You now have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over, and pull through once. There you have a SC2 tog completed. The technique that you only work into the front loops is called invisible decrease. When decreasing this way, the gaps between stitches are minimized, resulting in a more delicate fabric. Then, work 2 single crochets evenly. Finish by doing another SC2 tog. Insert the hook into the front loop of the next 2 stitches and squints. Place the hook above the yarn. Draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over, and pull through once. Another SC2 tog is done. Go on to repeat the pattern in the parentheses 2 more times. Now, this is how it should look after round 17. Finish with a chain stitch to secure. Leave about 5 centimeters of yarn tail and cut. Tighten. Like so. Then one arm is complete. For the other arm, just follow the same steps. Once both arms are finished, keep them aside. Next, we'll learn how to crochet the legs. The leg is divided into the left leg and the right leg. Both legs begin with the foundation chain, starting from the chain crochet in spirals. Add in the shaping wire as you go. All previous steps remain the same, only the final round slightly different. The new stitches we will use including CH chain, WSC 3-in-1, F double crochet, and fa DC2 tog. Please watch my demonstration. The cast on in here is 4CH, which indicates we will start from foundation chain and make 4 chains. Warp the yarn on your left hand. Leave a tail about 5 centimeters long. Hold the hook in your right. Place it underneath the yarn. Wrap it around counterclockwise. Pinch the spot where the yarn crosses with your left thumb and middle finger. Position the hook on the left side of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Gently tighten. Now, let's start crocheting chains. You'll make 4 of them in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, the foundation chain is done. Since we crochet the legs in spirals, it's easy to get round numbers confused. So we will mark the first stitch of each round. Before you start, cut off a piece of yarn in a different color from the leg. Make sure it's not too dark. The length should be roughly 30 centimeters. Separate 2 strands for later use. Now, make the first round. R1 is, start from the second CH from the hook, 2X, W, X, V. Start from the second CH from the hook, means count back from the hook side. Skip 1 chain, and start from the next chain. 1, 2. That's the second chain from the hook. Insert the hook into that chain. Pick up the top loop. It's like this strand. Work 1 single crochet. Then, pick up the top loop of the next chain stitch, and crochet another single crochet. After that, crochet a 3SC1 on the next chain. That means making 3 single crochets in the same spot. Insert the hook. One, 2, 3. And there you have a 3SC1. Rotate the work. You can see that on this side, there are 2 strands left at each chain. Pick up these 2 strands from the chain. The insertion point is same as the single crochets on this side. Make a single crochet followed by a 2SC1. Keep the starting tail above the hook, warp it in as you go. Since we're crocheting in spirals, each round, you just need to follow the pattern in the chart. So, the first round is complete. Now, move on to the second round. Before you start, mark the first stitch of the round. Take out the prepared yarn tail. Place it between the first and last stitches. Then, begin making the stitches for the second round. Work until you reach the stitch right of the yarn marker. This indicates the end of the second round. Just like that, the second round is finished. Continue with the third round. Place the yarn marker between the first and last stitches from back to front. Start crocheting. For this round, work 12 single crochets evenly. Crochet until you reach the stitch right of the yarn marker. Like so, the third round is completed. Adjust the fabric. Make sure the right side is facing you. Now, work on the fourth round. Take one strand of the yarn marker and place it behind. First, work 3 single crochets evenly. Then, the next stitch is in fa. That means you'll do a DC2 tog. Start by working an incomplete double crochet on each of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over. Insert the hook into the stitch on the left. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. 2 loops remain on the hook. The incomplete double crochet is complete. Move on to the next stitch. Yarn over again. Insert the hook into the next stitch. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. The second incomplete stitch is done. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops. A DC2 tog is finished. The V-shaped loop to the right above is a stitch, followed by an F. Work 1 double crochet, yarn over. Insert the hook into the stitch. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over. Draw through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat this twice. Once. Twice. And there, your double crochet is complete. Now work a DC2 tog. First, make 2 incomplete double crochets. One. Two. Then yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. The second DC2 tog is done. Next, make 4 single crochets evenly. Like this. And that completes the 4th round. Let me show you how to count rounds when crocheting in spirals. When counting, skip the starting point. Begin counting from the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, you've completed 4 rounds. Remember, always avoid counting the starting position. Continue crocheting. Move the yarn marker to the front. For rounds 5 to 15. Just reference the demonstration of previous rounds. Keep going by following the patterns in the chart. At the start of each round, remember to adjust the yarn marker first. Refer to the chart and crochet all the way to round 15. Don't alter the increase or decrease positions while crocheting. Follow the pattern strictly. Let's take a look. This is what it like after completing round 15. Next, we need to stuff it with fiberfill and also add shaping wires. Start by putting a bit of fiberfill inside the fabric. You can use a tool for assistance. Just add a small amount for now. Then cut a shaping wire about 50 centimeters long. Fold the bottom about 15 centimeters. Give it a twist. Make sure the front isn't too thick. Slightly bend it. Insert it into the leg. Continue stuffing with fiberfill. Position the shaping wire in the middle. The shaping wire must reach the front top. Follow the curve of the foot when bending it. Keep crocheting. For rounds 16 to 32. Please refer to the patterns in the chart. Don't alter the increase and decrease positions. Stuff with fiberfill as you work. Crochet all the way to round 32. Look. This is what it looks like after completing round 32. Now, crochet round 33. If it's the left leg, then crochet 10 single crochets evenly. You'll only need to work 10 stitches for this round. Finish with a slip stitch to secure. Leave a tail of about 5 centimeters and cut the yarn. Tighten it up. And just like that, the left leg is done. Now, let's move on to the right leg. Follow the same steps for rounds 1 to 32 as with the left leg. After finishing, start round 33. For this round, you'll make 15 single crochets. Don't fasten off after completing it. Align the ending positions of both legs to the inner sides of the legs. Remember to stuff them with fiber fill and add in shaping wire. So there, the legs are complete. Next, we'll learn how to make the body. Let's take a look at the finished product. Join the two legs together. Continue crocheting upwards. Work until you reach the point, then attach the arms. Now, let me demonstrate the specific crochet method. We'll start by joining the legs and crocheting the first round of the body. In the chart, it is 3ch. To join the legs, let's chain 3 first. Then pick up the left leg. From the stitch on the left side of your cut yarn place, work 13 single crochets. Place the yarn tail above the hook and work it in as you go. Tighten the first stitch slightly. After completing the 13 single crochets on the joining chain, work 3 single crochets in each half loop. Once done, make 13 single crochets in the right leg stitches. Then, take the remaining 2 loops of the joining chain and make 3 single crochets into them. Like this, you've completed the first round. Remove the yarn marker on the legs. Use it to mark the body. Position it between the first and last stitches. Twist the shaping wire together. Now, crochet the second round. In this round, decrease 1 stitch on each side of the body. First, pressing the body flat. Along the joining chain. Find the midpoints when folding it in half on both sides. Mark the positions with yarn tails. A roughly place is fine. Mark both sides. Once done, start working single crochets. When you reach the marked stitch, make it SC2 tog. For the rest stitches, work single crochets evenly. Continue doing until you reach the marked stitch on the other side. Now you are here. Work at SC2 tog. Then continue working single crochets until you reach the right stitch of the yarn marker. Like this, round 2 is completed. After finishing, remember to check the number of your stitches. Now, let's move on to round 3. In this round, you will make a SC2 tog at the front and back center respectively. Align the front and back parts. Mark the 2 middle stitches. Just roughly in place. Once you've finished, continue working. Make SC2 tog in marked stitches. For the rest, work single crochets evenly. Like this, round 3 is now complete. For rounds 4 to 16, follow the pattern in the chart. Where decreases are needed, mark them beforehand with yarn tails. To check your stitch count after completing each round, remember to stuff with fiber fill as you go. When you finish round 8, you need to switch colors for round 9. Let me demonstrate you the color changing method. When crocheting in spirals by using this sample, at the last stitch of round 8, work an incomplete single crochet. Insert your hook. Then pull the yarn through. Now, pick up the yarn in the right color for round 9. Make a slip knot. Leave about 5 cm yarn tail here. Then, pull the yarn through both loops on your hook. Gently adjust it. Now, continue crocheting. Leave a tail about 5 centimeters. Cut the yarn from round 8. Tighten. Carry both yarn tails above your hook to hide as you go. From here on, just keep crocheting. Look, this is what it should look like after completing the first 16 rounds. Now, let's move on to round 17. In this round, you'll attach the 2 arms. Start by working 5 single crochets evenly. After that, take out 1 arm. Pick up the stitches on the arm. Then, work SC2 togs in sequence. You'll do this 6 times in total. Place the yarn tail above the hook to hide it as you go. Once done, work 9 single crochets on the body. Now, take out the other arm. Work SC2 togs in sequence. After that, work 4 single crochets on the body. So, like this, round 17 is complete. Check your stitch count. Moving on to round 18. Follow the pattern in the chart to finish this round. Once done, insert the shaping wire for the arms. First, measure the distance between the two arms. Then, cut a piece of shaping wire. About 2 centimeters longer than this measurement. I've already cut mine to size. Fold one end over about 1 centimeter. Pass the other end through the middle of the shaping wire of body. Thread the folded end into the arm. Fold the other end about 1 centimeter too. Thread it through the other arm. And just like that, the shaping wire for the arms is now in place. Moving on. Stuff the bulging part of the arms with some fiber fill. You can use a tool to help. Continue crocheting. For the rounds 19 to 29, please refer to the chart to complete. Stuff the fiber fill as you go. Once you finish the 20th round, the 21st round, you'll also need to change color. Please follow the previous demonstration of color changing method. After completing the final round, if there's any excess shaping wire, trim the extra part. I've already done that here. Since this is a small sample, there are fewer rounds. When working on your actual piece, finish the 29th round. Then, leave a tail about 15 centimeters. Cut the yarn. Thread the yarn tail onto a darning needle. Remove the yarn marker. Then, pass the needle through the front loop of each stitch like this. Finally, pull the yarn tail tight. That the opening is closed. Now, sew few more stitches here. Insert the needle from the middle. Go through the body several times. Tie a knot. Hide the yarn tail inside the body. Cut the yarn. Like so, the body part is now complete. After the body finished, we move on to the head part. Start the head with a magic ring. Then, follow the chart and crochet in rounds. As you work, don't forget to make the beginning chain and slip stitch. Remember to stuff after completing round 21. Make sure the stuffing is evenly and firmly packed. Continue crocheting the remaining rounds. After the final round, secure with a slip stitch. Leave a tail about 5 centimeters and break the yarn. Tighten the yarn gently. Then, tuck in this protruding part into the head. You can use your hook to help. Ensure it fits perfectly onto the top of the body. If it's difficult to insert, use your crochet hook or another tool to gently widen the hole. That concludes the head. Up to this point, we've completed the main body. Next, we'll make the accessories, which include facial features, hair, cloak, scarf, pants, shoes, top and the decorations. Let's start with the facial features. Include nose, eyes, mouth and the ears. The ears are crocheted, while the rest are embroidered onto the head. The new stitch we will use is T-half double crochet. Watch my demonstration. First, let's make the nose. Find the placement of adding stitches in round 16 of the head. Make sure the trace of slip stitch facing backwards. Where the head has a slight raised, there are 2 single crochets between the adding stitches. Take out the yarn in the same color as the head. I will use a different color yarn to make the insertion point clear for you. Thread it onto a yarn needle. Secure it anywhere on the head first. Make sure no yarn ends are visible. Then, sew through those 2 single crochets twice to create the nose. Don't pull the yarn too tight. You can gently loosen the strand with the needle. This way, the nose appears more three-dimensional. Afterward, weave the yarn through the head a few times. Trim yarn tails. And there you have the nose. Now, let's make the eyes. First, locate on their placement, with the top of the head facing up. Count up from the nose round. Place markers on either side of the middle 4 stitches in the row above. Leaving a gap of 4 single crochets between the eyes. Each eye will occupy 3 single crochets. Mark on the 4th stitch. Continue with the eyes. Take a piece of yarn in the right color. Split it into 2 strands. Thread the yarn needle with the strands. Insert the needle behind the head. Secure the yarn tail by going through a few stitches. Then, come out at the marked eye position. Insert it into the nearby marked spot. Curve the strand slightly downward to create an arc. Glue it in place to secure. There, one eye is done. For the other eye, duplicate the process symmetrically. Create a slight curve just like before. Also, glue it in place to secure. Finally, thread the yarn tail to the back. Tie a knot. Hide the knot inside the head. Trim excess yarn. And there you have the eyes complete. Next, let's work on the mouth. On the second round below, embroider the mouth using the 2 stitches, which corresponding to the nose. Take some red yarn. I'll demonstrate with a different color here. Cut a longer yarn tail. Separate one strand. Thread it onto your embroidery needle. I've already prepared mine. Then insert the needle at any point. Pass through the gaps on either side of those 2 stitches. Leaving a small tail at beginning. Bring the yarn to the starting tail position. Tie the tails together to secure. Hide the yarn ends within the fabric. Shape the mouth into a curved smile. Also, use glue to secure it in place. So there you have it. The mouth making method is complete. Finally, in the area diagonally below the eyes, add some blush. Now, let's make the ears. Use the same color as the head. Begin with a magic ring. Once done, work one single crochet into the ring. Start with 1 chain. Then make 2 half double crochets. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and draw through all 3 loops on the hook. 1 half double crochet is complete. Work another 1. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Yarn over. Draw through all loops on your hook. Another half double crochet is done. Now, close the magic ring. Finish with 1 chain to secure. Leave a 15 cm tail for sewing. Like this, the ear is complete. Repeat the same process for the other ear. Sew the finished ears onto the head. Thread the reserved yarn tail onto a darning needle. Make sure the right side of the ear faces forward. Align it with the position of the eyes. At this corner of the eye, count out 3 stitches to the side. Insert the needle at this spot. Sew along the bottom edge of the ear, matching it to the position on the head. Tie the two yarn tails together when done. Hide the yarn tail inside the head. Like this, one ear is now sewn on. Follow the same steps to attach the other ear in the symmetrical position. Remember to keep the right side facing forward. Look. This is how the ear looks after sewing on the sample. Up to this point, we've completed all of making facial features. Next, let's move on to creating the hair section. The hair consists of the scalp and 2 layers of hair strands. First, we'll learn how to make the scalp. Here, I've already finished it. For the scalp, we start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. After casting on, work the first round. Make 8 single crochets in the magic ring. Then proceed to round 2. Pick up the front loops from the previous round. Work 2 SC and 1 in each stitch. Pay attention that you're working into the front loop only. And always beginning with a chain. Finishing with a slip stitch in each round. Refer to the chart to complete the scalp section. Don't cut the yarn when you're done. Now, start crocheting the hair strands. Begin with the first layer. This layer is worked into the second round of the scalp. Let's make the first strand. First, make 15 chains. Then, in the second to last stitch, work a slip stitch. The slip stitches on the hair strand. Don't pull tight. Next, pick up the front loop of the adjacent chain. Work 5 single crochets evenly. When finished, work half double crochets on the remaining chains. After completing the last stitch, make a slip stitch into the adjacent stitch. Like this, the first hair strand is complete. The method for the following strands is the same. Refer to the pattern in the chart. Continue crocheting the remaining ones. After you finish the half double crochet in the last hair strand, pick up the adjacent slip stitch. It's this V-shaped loop created by the slip stitch join. Then tighten. Finish with a chain to secure. Leave a 5 cm yarn tail and cut off. Hide the yarn tail into the hair strand. Do this a few stitches and trim the excess. And like that, the first layer of the hair strand is done. Now, move on to the second layer. This layer is crocheted onto the remaining back loops of the first round on the scalp. So, it's this row of loops here. Start with the first one. Warp the yarn with your left hand. Insert the hook into the back loop of the first stitch. That's the strand on the left side of this chain. Pull the yarn through. Then make 22 chains. Once done, make a slip stitch into the second to last chain. Next, work 5 single crochets evenly into following chains. When finished, make half double crochets in the remaining chains in sequence. After completing the last half double crochet, make a slip stitch into the next back loop. Hide the yarn tail by placing it above the hook. Like this, the first strand of the second layer is complete. The other 7 strands are worked in a similar method, just follow it to finish them all. After completing the last half double crochet on the final strand, slip stitch into the attaching position of the first strand. Finish with a chain to secure. Leave a tail of about 5 centimeters, then break. Weave in the yarn tail within the strands. And like this, the hair section is done. Next, attach the hair to the head. Position the scalp with the right side, facing towards the top of the head. That means the second layer of strands should be on top. Align the center of the scalp with the center of the head. Secure it with a pin. Let's start by attaching the first layer of strands. Secure the 8 hair strands of the second layer with yarn temporarily. Position the shorter strands from the first layer towards the front. These will serve as bangs. It's like a 3 to 7 parting. Make the 2 shortest strands from the first layer close together at the top. Their gap should align with the corner of the left eye. The 6th row up from above the eyes. Here, attach and secure these 2 strands. Then, starting from the left side, we make the 3rd to the 10th strands. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the 13th strand. That means skipping the 11th and 12th. The 13th strand, evenly spacing between the 2 ears. So, we have a total of 9 strands. Cover the head. And secure them in place with pins. Then, roll up the 13th strand twice. Secure it behind the ear. Roll up the 14th strand twice. And secure it above the ear. Rolling up the 15th strand twice. Position it below the 14th. Ensure the edges of strands are close together. Now, separate the second layer of strands. Take the first shorter strand. Align it with the first one from the first layer. And hide it under the 15th strand. This should cover the skin on the forehead. If it doesn't fully cover, slightly adjust it. Then, take the remaining strand from the first layer, roll it twice, and secure it above the ear. Now, turn the head's backside facing you, counting from the back of the ear to the left. Mark the 3rd strand. Consider this one as the center. Next, take the 3rd and 4th strands from the first layer. Secure them on either side of the center strand. Make a slight curve upwards. The curled sections below should hug the sides of the central strand. Then, roll and secure the adjacent strand. Using the center as your guide. For the strand on the left side, roll it towards the left side. For the strand on the right side, roll it towards the right side. Now, skip this one. Roll the next one, hug to this strand and attach. Then, take the skipped strand, fold it in half, and secure it behind the ear. Make sure not to go past the bottom of the ear. And close to this strand. Now we have few strands left. Roll and secure each one. Giving them a slight curve. Now, roll and secure the strands below. Starting from the left side. Stack one over the other. Also, use the center as your guide. For the left side, roll it to the left, and for the right, roll it to the right. The one at the center also rolls to the right. After securing, gently push them upward. Viewing from the front. Make sure no hair ends are visible. If it seems too low, roll a bit more to adjust the position. There should be a slight curve at the lower part of the hair. Once done, start gluing every strands in place. You can use a needle to help. Don't press them too hard when gluing, allowing the hair to maintain some volume. When applying the glue, continue adjusting as you go, ensuring the hair covers all the skin of the head, looking as rounded and fluffy as possible. After securing, remove the pins. Look. This is what it looks like when the hair is fully attached. That concludes the hair part. Finally, apply glue on the bottom of the crown. Then attach it to the hair. Position it slightly to the right of the top of the head. Now, let's make the cloak. We'll start with a foundation chain. Work upward back and forth in rows. The new stitches we'll use including FWDC 3-in-1. Please watch my demonstration. First, we'll start with casting on. Warp the yarn with your left hand. Make the corresponding number of chains. Refer to the chart for the exact stitch count. Once the foundation chain is complete, we'll begin with row 1. Work 12 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. Insert your hook into the top loop above the second chain. Make single crochet in each chain. Crochet all the way to the end of this row. Look here. This is what the first row should look like when finished. Now, let's move on to row 2. Start with 3 chains as a turning chain. Turn the work counterclockwise. Count these 3 chains as 1 double crochet. This corresponds to the last single crochet from the previous row. Since we're working on the wrong side for row 2, you'll work into the V-shaped loop on the upper left of the single crochet. Then, make a DC 3-in-1 in the next stitch. That means work 3 double crochets into the same stitch. One. 2. 3. Like this, you've completed the DC 3-in-1. Now, work the stitches within the parentheses. Work 2 double crochets evenly. After that, do another DC 3-in-1. You have 2 more times to repeat. Once you're done, there will be 1 stitch remaining. In that stitch, crochet 1 double crochet. So, you've completed the second row. Move on to the third row. Start with 3 chains. Then, turn the work counterclockwise. Count those 3 chains as 1 double crochet. From now on, consider the turning chain as 1 double crochet, which corresponds with the last stitch from the previous row. I won't repeat this later. Next, work a double crochet in the next stitch. After that, work a DC 3 in 1. Then, follow the pattern in the parentheses. Repeat this 3 times. Once done, you'll have 2 more double crochets left. Work a double crochet in the next stitch. Only 1 more to go. For this last stitch, you'll work into 2 strands of the third chain from the turning chain. That's these 2 strands right here. Like so, row 3 is now complete. For rows 4 to 15, refer to the chart and finish. Make sure your stitches match those on the chart. Don't alter the placement of increases. Now look, this is what the first 15 rows will look like of this sample. Secure with a chain. Leave a tail of about 5 centimeters, then break the yarn. Tighten. Hide the tail along the texture to the wrong side of the fabric. After doing several stitches, cut the yarn. Next, we'll work on the border. The border involves alternating 2 colors of yarn. I'll demonstrate the edging technique using this sample. First, take color 1 and hold it in your left hand. Insert your hook into 2 strands of the third chain from the turning chain in the last row. That would be these 2 strands right here. Pull the yarn through. Make 1 beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet in the same spot. Place the yarn tail above the hook and hide it in. Gently pull the starting tail. Now, chain 3. Stretch the loop slightly. Slide the hook out. Switch to color 2. Hold it in your left hand. And press down the chain from color 1 with your thumb. Insert the hook into the next stitch. Pull color 2 through. Make 1 beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet in the same spot. Place both yarn tails above the hook. Now, chain 3. Stretch the loop after completing. Slide the hook out. Insert the hook into the loop of color 1. Adjust the loop. Press down the chain of color 2 with your thumb. Insert the hook into the next stitch. Work 1 single crochet. Now, chain 3. Stretch the loop when done. Slide the hook out. Insert the hook into the loop of color 2. Press down the chain of color 1 with your thumb. Make 1 single crochet in the adjacent stitch. Chain 3. Follow this method. Work alternately with color 1 and color 2. Work all the way down this row. During you crochet, color 1 and color 2 will be intertwined. Remember to separate them as you go. After completing the last single crochet with color 2, secure it with 1 chain. Cut the yarn, leaving a tail about 5 centimeters. Pull it tight. Insert the hook into the loop of color 1. Make a slip stitch into the last stitch. Secure with a chain. Also, cut the yarn, leaving a 5 centimeters tail. Tighten it. Weave both tails into the fabric's texture to the wrong side. After weaving in a few stitches, trim the ends. Do the same for the starting tail. And there, the cloak is complete. Now, we'll add some decorations to the cloak. These include magnetic snap button, blue acrylic gems, and stars. Let's start with the magnetic snap button. A magnetic snap button typically consists of 2 halves. The thinner half is the male buckle, the other half is the female buckle. We'll attach the male buckle to the top right corner of the cloak. Insert the 2 fixing prongs of the male buckle from the wrong side. Then, use a tool to fix them in place securely. Make sure it's well attached to the cloak. Do the same for another male buckle at the top left corner. Exit through the back side. Fix it in place tightly. Now, take one of the blue acrylic gems. Apply glue to its back. Attach it above the magnetic buckle. It means attached to the front of the cloak. Next, we'll attach the stars. Place the stars on the front of the cloak. Insert the fixing prongs of the star into the cloak from the right side. Use a tool to secure them in place. And there, one star attached. There are 8 stars on the sample. When you make yours, feel free to attach them randomly. You can also refer to this finished product for inspiration. That concludes the decoration part.